Well, Nicole Bellefleur didn't always love when Mother's Day would roll around. She had tried for years to become a mom without success. But then her daughter, Ayanna, came into her life through adoption. While celebrating Mother's Day, Bellefleur thinks about the joys, but also some of the sadness that comes with the day for her and for others. Those thoughts are part of a song that's called A Prayer for Ayanna, written by Maxine McLennan. It was performed recently by the group Treble with Girls and Friends at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital Foundation Winter Fundraising Concert Series, and Nicole Bellefleur recorded that and put it on her Facebook page and shared the story with us.
Mother's Day is it's a day, of course, to celebrate your mother, and I never wanted my feelings of emptiness overshadow celebrating my mom on Mother's Day. So I never wanted to be down on that day. But when you're waiting for a child, and when everything you've tried to do to become a mother has led to a dead end or has not worked out, it's really hard sometimes to be happy for other people on Mother's Day. You put on your happy face and you make the best of it, but inside you're feeling pretty down in the dumps.
Looking back over your journey to Ayanna, you had a beautiful thing happened to you in Mexico with the rose and being acknowledged on Mother's Day, and then all the other connections. Again, looking back, what is it like thinking that you had that sign? It's
amazing to me. I didn't realize it at the time when I was in Mexico for work. Mother's Day there is always celebrated on May 10th, no matter what day of the week it is, and that year it happened to be on a Friday. So our sales team finished up our work just before lunch, so we all went our separate ways. I went down to the hotel restaurant for lunch, not realizing or not sort of anticipating that it would be full of mothers and families celebrating Mother's Day, and beautifully decorated. It was a beautiful hotel. And so to walk into that, it was like hit again with, it's Mother's Day, and I'm surrounded by all these happy mothers, and I'm not a mother, and I'm just sitting here in my little business suit eating soup, just wanting to be done and move on. And as I was leaving the restaurant, the maitre d' shouted at me to come back. He called after me, come back. So I turned around, I went back, and he handed me a rose and said, Happy Mother's Day, at which point my face turned red, and I could just feel the tears welling up. So I grabbed the rose, and I ran for the elevator, and I'm sure that's not the reaction he was expecting when he offered that rose to me. But I just got up to my room, and I started crying, because, again, it was another reminder that I wasn't a mother. And so at the same time, anybody who sort of knows of St. Teresa would know that when you are praying to St. Teresa and you get a rose unexpectedly, it's a sign that God is answering your prayers. And so on the one hand, I'm kind of feeling angry that I'm getting a rose and I'm not a mother, and I'm resenting that. On the other hand, I'm thinking, is this a sign? Could this mean something's happening? 4 months later, when I got the referral to adopt Ayanna, I was looking over the paperwork, and I realized that she went into care and essentially was put on the path to become my daughter on May 10th, the same day that I got that rose. And so that's the story that inspired Maxine's song. Some people would look at that and say, oh, well, that's just a coincidence, but I think it's something much more.
What was your first Mother's Day like with Ayanna?
Oh, it was so joyful. It was really, it's hard to describe that just being able to celebrate it and to have her there, and to know that I'd finally made it as a mother. At the same time, I have to acknowledge that there is her birth mother, her first mother, who made the biggest sacrifice so that I could be her mother, and her loss and her grief is something also that I'm very mindful of. And so as much as I am joyful, I'm also very aware that there's a lot of my joy came at the expense of someone else's joy as well. So it's mixed feelings. I'm happy for me, but I'm also very, very sad for Ayanna's first mother, who doesn't get to be in her life.
What did you think when you heard that Maxine had written a song and actually heard the song?
I was so happy when I heard that. Maxine is one of my favorite songwriters. She writes with so much of her heart goes into those songs, and I couldn't think of anyone I'd rather have tell our story through a song. I had sort of written a poem, 2 verses of a poem that I'd posted at some point, and I think Maxine kind of pulled on that idea. What I loved about her song was that she not only shared the joy of our story in becoming a family, but through her words, she also acknowledges Ayanna's first mother and her loss, and that I think is such an important part of our story, and I'm so glad that that's a part of the song as well.
What do you have planned for Mother's Day?
A big part of the story is how I was able to, as a single parent, pull together the resources to be able to adopt a child. And so one of the things I did, in addition to my full-time job, I used to work part-time at Lobster on the Wharf. And the Larkin family, I get emotional here, the Larkin family was very good to me, giving me work when I needed it, so I could make some extra money to be able to pay the adoption fees and everything. So the Larkin family is a big part of this story. I don't know if they know it, how much it meant to me. So we'll be going to Lobster on the Wharf for Mother's Day, because if not for that part-time job, in addition to the full-time job, I don't know how I would have been able to save the money to pay these fees. So Lobster on the Wharf is where we choose to celebrate Mother's Day. And there's a lot of people there who have been longtime friends of ours, and so we just feel it's such a special place for us that we look forward to celebrating Mother's Day there.
Thank you, Nicole, so much for sharing your story and Ayanna's story, and happy Mother's Day.
Thank you so much, Nancy.
What a great story. That was Nicole Bellefleur speaking with the CBC's Nancy Russell. And that song we're hearing, it was written by Maxine McLennan, performed by her along with Jolie Patkai, Sheila McKenzie, Norman Stewart, John Matthews, and Richard Wood. And there's more on this story on our website at cbc.ca/PEI.